There's a sneaky little film that's managed to creep up on us called Exhibiting Forgiveness. That's right, it is written by artist and first time director Titus Kaphar. The film stars Andre Holland, Audra Day, John Earl Elks, and Anjanou Ellis Taylor. The film follows an artist as he's dealing with a lot of generational trauma after coming into contact with his estranged father after 15 something years. I had an opportunity to sit down and talk with the artist, writer, and first time director Titus Kaphar as he broke down a lot of the process where he transitions from artist to filmmaker. And here's what he had to say. Check it out. I listen. First, I want to commend you on this is the first feature film that you've taken on, and I just
Yeah.
want to say that if someone is to take anything from this talk between you and I is that there are no limits or boundaries to the creative process, uh,
Mm,
because you begun as an artist, you're painting, and then I want to take it back to about I think it was like 7 years ago. You had a TED talk, right? And
yeah,
you were discussing looking at a painting and pulling something that wasn't the obvious from what you see with your eyes.
that's right. That's
And I
right.
and I feel like that's what you're giving us in this film. Um,
Mm,
to me, it's like it's a movie made by a man using art to tell his story through another man who uses art to deal with his story.
that's right. That's right. You got it all. You got it all.
So I want to talk about the conception of this. Like,
Yeah.
where did you say I can put the brush down and pick up a camera? Like, where did that confidence come from?
You know, my whole practice painting as an artist has been one where I take on new things in order to communicate the specific idea I'm trying to communicate. So what I mean by that is I did this project on George Washington. I did all this research and found out that they were making whiskey on the plantation, and they had these kind of whiskey bottles and so on and so forth. And I was like, all right, I want to do a project that thinks about that. So I'm gonna have to learn how to blow glass. And then there was this other project that I wanted to do. And in order to do that project, I needed to learn how to carve wood. So my practice has forced me to learn different things because I believe, as the saying goes, if all you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. If the only vehicle I have to communicate is painting, then that's the only way I'm going to be able to talk to the world. And I've got to say, I love painting. I will be painting for the rest of my life. But this experience of making the film has been life changing. People's response to this film has been just absolutely humbling to watch, to put something so personal into the world and recognize that so many other people have pieces of this exact same experience, has changed me as an artist. So I, again, just to answer your question directly, it's always been a part of my practice to learn new things in order to say the precise thing that I want to say.
You make it look very easy. I have to say
Yeah.
that. Like I've seen a lot of films. I've seen a lot of films. And going into this, I'm not thinking, oh, this is a first time writer, this is a first time director, but I'm not too thrown off because I'm like, this is an artist. And
Mm,
it just shows that, when you do what you do and you're able to grasp an idea and mold it into your own vision, it can be done. Um,
yeah. I mean,
so
but you know the work. See, the interesting thing is you know my artwork and my paintings. A lot of people who are coming to this film have zero idea that I'm actually a painter, that I'm the guy who actually made all the paintings in the film. But the truth of the matter is that process that I use to make paintings, that thinking process, is the same process that I put into making the film. So, for example, when we're on set and I'm talking to my cinematographer, even before we were on set, I wasn't talking to him about lenses and camera bodies and that kind of stuff. I don't know about that. What I know is color composition, form. I've been looking at that and thinking about it in every museum that I've ever been into for 20 years now. So when he and I started talking, we developed a language around painting. Our first conversations, What's your favorite museums in the world? What's your favorite painting in that museum? What light do you like in that painting? What angle is the light coming from? So when we're on set and he sets up the camera, I ask myself the question in my head, is this something I would paint? If it's something I would paint, action. If it's not, let's move the camera. So I'm not to use a double negative, I'm not being a painter while I'm making this film. I'm just bringing my painterly decision making process to the screen.
Yeah, and I want to talk more about that because I feel like you say you used a lot of your real paintings. Was that part of your storyboard? Using
Yes.
so you knew like a beginning, middle, and end exactly how you wanted to lay it out.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how that translated to story
Yeah.
going forward.
So I started this process writing letters to my sons. It wasn't initially going to be a film. It was me trying to figure out a way to share how my life is very different from my boys. I grew up in Michigan, and I would go back to Michigan to visit my grandmother, and I bring my boys with me, my wife and kids with me. And one day we showed up, and my father was there. I hadn't seen him in 15 years. So I said to him, well, as he was sitting on my grandmother's stoop, this is not the time. I don't really want to do this. I walked into my grandmother's house. My grandmother was sitting on the couch. And to my surprise, my father came in the house and I was getting angry. And my grandmother said, baby, you need to talk to him. And as I always say, I don't know what your relationship is with your grandmother, but my grandmother, when she told you to do something, you did it. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a debate. It was just what you had to do. So I was sitting there thinking, how can I get out of this situation and be respectful to my grandmother? I had a camera on my shoulder and I said to my father, okay, if you want to talk, then I get to film you because there's a lot that you have to account for. Now, my kids watched that situation. And from then on, they were 7 and 5 at the time. Then on, they'd be like, Dad, what was your life like with your father? Did you guys go to games together? Did he come to your wrestling matches? Did he come to parent teacher conferences? No, 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 no. I'll tell you more when you're older. I'll tell you more when you're older. Well, my son is now going off to college next year. And so he's definitely old enough. So I sat down and I started writing. So in the mornings, I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I would just start writing. And while I was writing, I was envisioning the images in from my memories. So I would write during the day and then I would stop and take the kids to school, drop them off at school and then drive to my studio. I have an app on that phone that allows me to listen to what I had written. So while I was in the studio, I was listening to what I wrote while I was making sketches. So by the time I was done, and I did that every day, by the time I was done, I had a body of paintings and I had a text. And so I always knew that they were going to be connected. I knew that they were going to live together. I just didn't know how.
Yeah. Well, and I know we've got to wrap it up. I could talk to you all day about breaking this down and peeling that onion. This film focuses on a lot of generational trauma of your own in such an artistic way. I mean, it stars Andre Holland. He's amazing. Audra Day, she's
Amazing.
amazing. I just want to commend you on this film. And everybody, it's called Exhibiting Forgiveness. You need to check this out. It is available on streaming now. I just want to thank you for talking to me, Titus, man. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.